And that's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the fucking life out of the WNBA right now. It's just
What? The new fans are sucking the life out of... No, the new fans breathe life into the WNBA because it was...
That reaction you hear is the sound of someone being confronted with a reality they didn't want to accept. When Elle Duncan said on ESPN that new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA, the response from the commentator revealed just how deep the disconnect has grown over the past few months. The truth is, new fans didn't drain the league of anything. They revitalized it. They brought energy, attention, and financial stability to a league that had long been struggling to sustain itself. And this isn't a matter of opinion. The numbers clearly show that these new fans didn't harm the WNBA. They helped save it.
You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before.
Hey, and you know what? And you know what they're not doing now, Elle Duncan? They're not doing 40 minutes on the WNBA when Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. They weren't doing 40 minutes on Colin Cowherd when Caitlin Clark was hurt and wasn't playing. They're not doing 40 minutes on Unrivaled on Nick Wright. First things first. They're not doing 40 minutes on Unrivaled.
First Take devoted 40 straight minutes to Caitlin Clark during the 2024 season. Something that had never happened before in the WNBA's 28-year history. Colin Cowherd dedicated full segments to breaking down her performances, and Nick Wright analyzed her assisted turnover ratio in detail. These were the same shows that previously gave the WNBA maybe 5 minutes of attention per month, if that. But the clearest proof came when Clark was injured in August and missed 2 games. The coverage vanished almost immediately. While she sat out with an ankle sprain, those same shows went right back to ignoring the league. The attention didn't shift to other stars, didn't follow Aya Wilson's MVP run, or Breanna Stewart's scoring title chase. It simply disappeared.
The Paige Beckers, the big stars. Why ain't First Take talking about them? Why ain't nobody talking about them? Why? You tell me. Is it because they have personal thing against them? No. It's because it's business and people aren't even watching their games. So why would they talk about it on national TV and nobody is interested? What are you talking about? Stop playing. Stop playing games, man.
Monica McNutt called out. You're right. But you know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening on the court. And that's the...
What? I wonder what...
And now we're watching the same pattern play out in real time with Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league that launched in January. The league features 30 of the WNBA's biggest names: Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Angel Reese, Eriko Gunbowl, players the league and the Players Association repeatedly describe as superstars and the faces fans want to see. Yet the coverage tells a different story. Unrivaled games are airing on TNT, a major network with massive reach. But there are a number of 40-minute breakdowns on First Take, no deep analysis from Colin Cowherd, and no sustained media focus. Leaked Week 2 viewership numbers showed games averaging around 200,000 viewers. By comparison, Indiana Fever games averaged 1.2 million viewers last season when Caitlin Clark was playing. When she's absent, those same time slots on the same networks draw only a fraction of that audience. This isn't speculation. It's measurable data showing exactly who is driving interest and who isn't.
To the CBA negotiation. Dun, 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 dun. We're just going to talk about it a little bit. Obviously still ongoing. We talked about that earlier in our pod today. You actually were quoted somewhere saying this is the first time you have zero fear around the league folding, right? Which I totally know what you mean. It's like in other negotiations, there was always not like it was actually going to fold, but it was like, hey, we got to figure this out. How are we going to do this? Kind of a vibe. All right. So from your perspective, what should be like the high priorities for this agreement?
It's been interesting to kind of see how it has all evolved. And one of the things that strikes me is like the deal that, as you read it, that the owners have on the table for the players. And, I'm not privy to all of the information, but like, it looks like a pretty amazing deal. And that, like, if the players took the deal that's on the table right now, they should feel great about it because it's huge.
Now we come to Rebecca Lobo, a Hall of Famer, longtime ESPN analyst, and someone who's been part of the league since its beginning in 1997. As she watches the current CBA negotiations unfold, her concern has been growing because she sees something the players don't seem to recognize. With every public statement, they're losing public support. In December 2024, the owners put a significant offer on the table, including a maximum salary of $1.2 million, an average salary around $500,000, full revenue sharing once the league becomes profitable, and investments in practice facilities, charter flights, housing stipends, and child care support, all for a league that has never turned a profit in 28 years. Despite this, the Players Association, through Executive Director Terry Jackson, dismissed the proposal as a slap in the face. That reaction was the moment Rebecca Lobo stepped in to inject some much-needed reality into the conversation.
But past two extensions, and they are still far apart. We just heard that Sophie Cunningham just came out. I put up the video yesterday. Go check that out on Keep the Vision as well. Sophie Cunningham confirmed that it looks like there's going to be a lockout. So they're still far apart. It still doesn't look like there's going to be a season.
And I'm hopeful that they'll come together. I don't know that from what I understand and the people that I've talked to, that the owners have that much more that they can give in terms of revenue share or in terms of max salary. So calm and cool and heads have always prevailed in these negotiations, and I'm hopeful that they do. One thing, I want for the players to get absolutely as much as they can get. I'm thrilled for them and the climate that we are with women's basketball right now. It's booming, and the players are the reason for that, or a big part of the reason for that. Some of the rhetoric I've heard from their side has been a little bit troublesome. Like when a deal is presented that's over $1 million max salary and revenue share, it's called a slap in the face. Like it's that just. Use different words, and I'm worried that the players might be getting to a point where they might be losing some of the support from the public, and I think that's been.
Listen closely to what she's saying about the rhetoric, because this is the heart of the problem. When you're negotiating a collective bargaining agreement, the language you use matters, not just at the bargaining table, but in the court of public opinion. Public perception directly affects a league's ability to grow revenue, and that revenue determines how much money is ultimately available to pay players. Now think about it from a fan's perspective. You're someone who started watching the WNBA in 2024 because of Caitlin Clark. You're learning the league, investing in teams, and buying merchandise. Then you hear players describe a $1.2 million maximum salary as a slap in the face. You hear talk about what owners owe them. You see Nafisa Collier posting online about showing owners how to run a business, while her unrivaled league is struggling to reach 200,000 viewers. When the average American household makes around $75,000 a year, hearing players who average about $500,000 call those numbers disrespectful creates a serious disconnect with the very fans the league needs to grow.
The rhetoric you guys are using, which is why I said y'all all need media training. It seemed like Caitlin Clark's the only one with some damn media training. Okay. The rhetoric y'all using, the vernacular. Okay. It's not cool. Y'all are like, people wanted to support y'all. Y'all have literally got on camera and on microphones and talked the support away. Nasty work.
Put their, pay us what you owe us shirts on. It felt to me in that arena like the players had 100% support of the from WNBA fans. I'm doing a game early in the.
They put on the pay us what you owe us shirts, right? People were supporting that. And then they went out there and gave us a trash ass product in the game. An awful, embarrassing, garbage ass product.
Playoffs. This is before Nafisa has said anything about the commissioner, and the video comes up in Vegas with Kathy talking, and there was like a minute.
Here's what Rebecca Lobo remembers that many current players don't. She played for the New York Liberty at a time when the team practiced in a middle school gym on the Upper East Side at Briley Middle School on a court that wasn't even regulation size. That was the reality of professional women's basketball in the early 2000s. She played in an era with no charter flights, no guaranteed housing, a maximum salary of around $100,000, no revenue sharing, and a league that lost money every single year. The WNBA survived only because the NBA was willing to subsidize it as a long-term investment. The progress since then has been substantial. But when that progress is labeled insulting and the current offer is treated as beneath the players, fans begin asking hard questions. They look at the financial reality and see a league that has received more than $700 million in NBA subsidies over nearly 3 decades and still hasn't posted an annual profit.
Felt like, wow, the players have 100% support of the fan base in the WNBA. And as these negotiations have gone on, it feels like some of that is waning. And I think some of it has just been, some of the language and the verbiage and that sort of thing that we've heard from the Players Association. I think the players just need to be a little bit more careful with how they're articulating things, because if you're working whatever job, a max salary of 1.2 million, average salary of 500,000. If you don't think it's fair, that's fine, but don't call it a slap in the face. I think that there's, there are things that need to be done a little bit better when it comes to the language.
This is where the media training issue becomes critical. Watch how different players handle interviews. When Caitlin Clark is asked about her contract, pay disparity, or whether she deserves more money, she consistently deflects. She talks about being grateful for the opportunity, acknowledges the players who came before her, and emphasizes growing the game. That isn't accidental. It's deliberate messaging that protects her brand and keeps fans on her side. Now compare that to Natasha Cloud labeling critical fans as a dark side. Nafisa Collier claiming Unrivaled is teaching people how to run a business despite poor ratings, or Terry Jackson using inflammatory language like slap in the face during sensitive negotiations. Each of those statements pushes fans away, gives ammunition to skeptics who already doubt the WNBA's viability, and makes it harder to build the broad public support the league needs to grow revenue.
With Rebecca Lobo, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all don't know what y'all getting in front of these cameras and microphones and saying. Y'all sound ridiculous. And I also think that there were a lot of fans who are unaware of a lot of the perks and the things that the WNBA has done and does do for these players, to be honest with you. So I think a lot of this information coming out has turned people off from the players, and it has lost some support from the people amongst the players. And it seems like there's been a shift toward more people are actually in lockstep with the owners than they are the players right now. You know what I mean? And I think, you got Natasha Cloud saying ridiculous things. Nafisa Collier saying, I'm showing y'all how to run a business and they can't even get no viewership. TNT might want to get out the damn deal. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. So I agree 100% with Rebecca Lobo. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think. Just keep the vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.
Rebecca Lobo highlighted something crucial when she reflected on the moment players wore "Pay us what you owe us" shirts at the 2024 All-Star Game in Phoenix. Initially, fans were supportive, seeing it as athletes advocating for themselves, which is fair. Players should always negotiate for the best deal possible. But that goodwill quickly evaporated once the game tipped off. The All-Star Game itself was widely viewed as a disaster. Low effort, poor quality of play, and the feel of a pickup game where no one wanted to be there. Many fans who tuned in because of Caitlin Clark and the renewed excitement around the league watched that product and came away thinking, this is what they want more money for? Not long after, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert was booed for more than a minute during a playoff presentation in Las Vegas, before any of the later controversial comments from players. That reaction reflected mounting frustration from fans who had spent the season watching how the league handled itself and had simply had enough. The Players Association has framed the conflict as owners being cheap, but fan reaction suggests something very different. Fans are signaling that the messaging is poor, the on-court product is inconsistent, and the tone often comes across as entitled. This is especially striking given that the WNBA just completed its most successful season ever by nearly every metric. Attendance jumped 48%, television viewership rose 157% across broadcast partners, and the league signed a new media rights deal worth roughly $200 million over 11 years, far larger than the previous agreement. That success, however, was overwhelmingly driven by one player. Indiana Fever games averaged 1.2 million viewers when Caitlin Clark played, while the next highest team averaged around 400,000. ESPN broadcasts of Fever games routinely outdrew NBA games in the same time slots, something that had never happened in the league's 28-year history. Instead of acknowledging that reality, the Players Association has doubled down on the idea that all players are equally responsible for the league's growth. The data simply doesn't support that claim. When Sophie Cunningham said on a podcast in January 2025 that a lockout looked likely after multiple deadline extensions, the fan response was telling, rather than widespread support for the players. Many comments suggested that a year off might teach some perspective or question how Unrivaled will perform without the WNBA as a safety net. Public sentiment had shifted dramatically in just 6 months, largely due to poor communication and unrealistic expectations. This dynamic puts Caitlin Clark in an impossible position. She is generating the vast majority of new interest, bringing in casual fans who had never watched women's basketball before, and driving the revenue growth that makes higher salaries possible. Yet she can't say any of that publicly without appearing arrogant or alienating her peers. So she stays quiet, plays for a rookie salary of about $76,000, and lets her endorsements, reportedly worth around $28 million, reflect her true market value. The irony is stark. The player with the strongest case for special treatment never asked for it, while others earning far more in WNBA salary complain about disrespect despite drawing a fraction of the audience. The reason mainstream sports shows covered the WNBA so heavily in 2024 wasn't sudden enlightenment or altruism. It was performance. Caitlin Clark content delivered clicks, ratings, and engagement. When she doesn't play, that incentive disappears, and coverage shifts back to what the core audience wants. That isn't bias. It's basic media economics. Unrivaled is learning this lesson now. It has star players, network distribution, production quality, and marketing, but lacks the one proven needle mover with casual fans. And the viewership reflects that. Rebecca Lobo understands how fragile this league has always been because she lived through the lean years. She knows fan support isn't guaranteed and can vanish quickly if taken for granted. Her warning is simple. The new fans are not the problem. They are the reason the league just had its best financial year ever. Resenting them because they arrived through Caitlin Clark rather than organic appreciation for the league as a whole has created hostility, dismissiveness, and a toxic environment that pushes people away. The market is offering clear feedback about who drives value and who doesn't. The Players Association can accept that reality and negotiate strategically for the future, or keep insisting on money that doesn't yet exist and discover, through a lockout or declining interest, what their actual bargaining power really is.